Yes, back, man. I feel like I ain't been it for a minute. You know what I mean? I was obviously supposed to go live about from one today, and obviously for various reasons, man, got delayed in it. But we're here in it. You know what I mean? Without any further ado, welcome to the next episode of the Chinksy Sports presents the Arsenal podcast. Right, there's been a lot of football since a lot of Arsenal related football and things happening since obviously I was last live and it was only 7 days ago. I last went live last Wednesday, just before the PSV Eindhoven Champions League opener at the Emirates, where we won 4-0, and that's exactly the place I'm gonna start. Um a comprehensive victory against opponents that we're quite familiar with, as we played them in the Europa League last season in the group stages. We swatted them aside as well. I believe it was 3-0. We lost the return 2-0. But as I'd mentioned, this is a different PSV side. They'd lost all their best players, 3 or 4 top players, to various sides across Europe. 3 of them are playing in the Premier League: Sangare, Madueke, and Cody Gakpo at Liverpool. So obviously they've actually kind of rebuilt their side and had a really strong start to the season. They're actually top of the Eredivisie. I believe they play today in the evening, so a chance to extend their league at the top of the league, seeing as Ajax are floundering. But enough of them. I felt like it was a good opening performance. After 6, 7 years out of the competition, it's good to remind teams that Arsenal are a top side, and just to get 3 points on the board going into the Lens game next week. It's a good start. Obviously, it's nice to hear the music at the Emirates. Obviously, it's just been weird. Like, I grew up seeing my side in the Champions League. It's just you take it for granted, and then when you're not in it, you're in the Europa League for 5 or 6 seasons, and you don't win that, and then you have a season out of Europe as a whole, which is crazy. It just humbles you and just makes you appreciate it more. So obviously it's great to be back in there, and hopefully we can go on a run. We can go as far as we can. Hopefully quarterfinals, semi-finals, if not even the final, which is at Wembley. And I've got us in a group of 3 or 4 sides who can all be considered the dark horses. I feel like there's 2 or 3 sides that stand out from the rest. They're probably a little bit above our level, but that's not in saying we can't beat these sides. So I'd say you got your Man Cities, your Real Madrids, and your Bayern Munichs, who are the 3 favourites. I'd probably edge towards Man City being the favourites as the holders, but I feel like we're in a group of sides such as Barcelona, Inter Milan, ourselves, and PSG, where on any given day we can topple those sides and win it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if you can build up a head of steam, gather some momentum, start swatting sides away in a group stage, I don't think any side will want to play Arsenal, especially in this competition, just given the way we play, the pace that we're playing at, and just the relentlessness of our play. I feel, including Man City, I don't feel anyone would relish an Arsenal game. So yeah, it's good. It's good to see that we've got off to a good start, but it's only 3 points. I expect us to go to Lens next week and win that too. They're not doing so well in France, having finished second last season, and we're just better than them. Quite frankly, if we play well, I expect us to win. Lens got a draw in Seville, which is a good point for them, and gives them a chance of competing to probably finish second in the group. Obviously, Lens will take a draw against Arsenal. But no, what I'm expecting is hoping that we can get a win against Lens. So now, if we can now beat Sevilla in the third game, we've got 1 foot in the next round. Really, 9 points from 9. But obviously, we need to take it a step at a time. More news. It's brilliant news that our captain Odegaard has signed a new contract, which would, I think it's a 4-year extension, which would mean his overall term at Arsenal would be 8 years. So I feel like if he can excel during those years, he becomes a legend for me. He's one of the top Emirates players. There's even a poll going around who's the best number 8 between Arteta, Nasri, Ramsey, and Odegaard. And for me, Odegaard's already top of that list. So imagine what, and that's in the space of 3 or 4 years of being in a club. So imagine what he can go on to achieve in the next 4 or 5 years. I mean, the sky's the limit for Odegaard. He can definitely cement himself as a club legend. Right. I'm just going to play Arteta's post-match press conference from the PSV game, which does seems a long time ago. It's only 7 days. Let's go.
It was a beautiful night, obviously, after such a long time. We wanted to produce the right performance, to try to win the game. It was great to see the atmosphere, the Champions League music everywhere.
Trust
we were
me.
getting a bit emotional before it, and we showed. I think, especially in both boxes today, we were exceptional, and that was the difference in the game, I think. I was really excited about it. I wanted to control, don't show that too much, but I was really excited, to. At the end, it's part of the journey. The journey started last year, and we earned the right to be in this competition, which is what we have to be as a club, and now as well we have the responsibility to produce what we have to produce to stay at this level.
Gentlemen in the classes.
Yeah, but one thing I will say though, during the Wenger era, we was just in the competition for the sake of it. It was like we were never really gonna win it, apart from 1 or 2 seasons, which I mentioned in the last podcast, where we got to semi-finals and finals a couple times. We were cannon fodder in the competition, But I feel like now we've got to be aiming to win the competition and not just be also rans in it. So if not this season, I feel like in the next season or 2, we've got to be really, really, really aiming to win it, because I don't feel like the Champions League is as strong as it has been since we last been in it. And I feel like it's more of a level playing field. Every year for the past 5-6 years, Man City have been favourites, and we're pretty much going toe to toe with Man City these days. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, I expect nothing other than an attempt to try and win this competition, because I don't just want to be getting knocked out of the last 16 and quarterfinals year in, year out like we used to do. Against Bayern Munich, the likes of Bayern Munich. Well, that's a prime Bayern Munich and a prime Barcelona. But obviously, those sides they're in transition, especially Barcelona at this moment in time, baby. We there. Bow.
It might seem strange to say after a 4-0 win, but do you think there's potentially even more you could have seen from your side today? Because there were sort of a few chances put away, sort of not put away, sorry, and more you maybe could have done. So is it almost more to come even after a 4-0 win?
I agree, and especially from box to box, there were things that we should have done much better, and that's every single day. You have to be at it. You have to be really analytical to try to improve, but at the same time, credit to the boys, to play the way they play in certain moments, and to score 4 goals in the Champions League against a team that hasn't lost a single game. Credit to them as well.
Sammy from the Daily Mail.
Mikel, you said yourself you tried to take the emotion out of it despite being emotional yourself. You must have been impressed with the way your players, for some of them the biggest night of their careers, managed to do exactly the same.
And I could sense that, and I think we have dried that energy and that emotion in the right way,
Yeah, definitely on the subject of the energy, emotion. Yeah, you got to big up the Ashburton Army. They're bringing like some proper. They're making the Emirates an intimidating place to go. There's a real atmosphere at the Emirates these days. Obviously, you get me. Like it's freaking giving me PSG. It's giving me European vibes. Like the kind of, obviously not as hostile, but it's getting hostile these days. You get me. It's a proper. We've got the ultras there now, with flares, the proper atmosphere, the drums. It's different. Coming to the Emirates is a daunting prospect these days. It used to be kind of lovely place to go, but now, especially under the lights in the evening games, there's a real atmosphere. And obviously, I feel like the bigger the game, the more pumped up the fans will be. And it's like, it's not a great. You don't want to be playing Arsenal under the lights You know, when we're firing, when we're fit and firing, you don't really want to be coming there because yeah. And I love what the club has done. Has allowed the club to like kind of develop ultras and just bring their own spin on things, giving it a kind of European flavor. Like when you go into PSG, they got their ultras. When you go into Napoli, when you go into certain Italian sides or any Italian side, you know, it's a hostile place. It's not easy place to go, and you're gonna be stressed. You know what I mean? You're gonna be stressed when you come to Arsenal, and that's what we want.
About the enjoyment, you know, that we have to obviously compete at this level, but there has to be a part that we have to enjoy as well, those moments, those nights, because it's what at the end you remember, and I think it's going to be a good memory.
Amy from the Athletic.
Hi, Mikel. Do you think, in a way, this was a sort of blessing for the team? You know, getting away from playing against big defensive blocks in the Premier League and being able to express and click and find that sort of fun, joyous attacking football of last season, find that identity a bit more?
Well, obviously every opponent brings different challenges as well. When you score early in the game, probably that helps, and that hasn't been the case too much this season, and that's why we have to face opponents doing other things as well. But certainly when you see this team running and full of pace and being vertical, it's a joy to watch.
Dan from Leaving Standard.
Mikel, given you've got the derby here on the Sunday, was it particularly pleasing that you scored 3 goals in the first half and were presumably able to start saving players in the latter stages?
Yes, well, we could manage the minutes of some of them, especially because where they're coming from and with the national teams, they played a lot of minutes. So, and as well to give players 2 minutes that fully deserves. I was really emotional when I saw the reception on Emil as well. It's a player that hasn't played much yet, and to get the reception that he got, it was well deserved. I'm so happy for him as well.
James from ESPN.
You've talked about wanting your team to kill games off earlier. I mean, they did that in the first half. How pleasing was that?
Very good, and that's what we have to do. That's what I mentioned, that in the box we were exceptional today. We were ruthless. We took our chances. The finishing quality was top, but as well we could have done more. And probably the manager, we are looking sometimes a bit more on that and in the other parts.
Kai from Footballer.
It's obviously Bukhayo's first game in the Champions League tonight. You wouldn't really have known it from watching him. Did he show that he sort of deserves to be on this stage tonight?
Yes, but to be fair, some of the boys now, they play at an international level, you know, and they have big roles in their national teams, and you can sense that as well, that they are not just part of the squad. They have quite a lot of responsibility, and they are big players there, and that.
All right, let's see who he could be talking about. So he's not talking about Ramsdale. He's not talking about Ben White. So Saliba, not really, I wouldn't say. Boom. Gabriel's just broken into the Brazilian side. It will be interesting to see if he can kind of... I feel like he's cemented his spot in the squad now, at the bare minimum. But because Militao's out, it will be interesting to see... I feel like he will. Going forward, I feel like Gabriel will cement himself as Brazil's centre-back alongside probably Marquinhos for now that Militao's out. Zinchenko is obviously the Ukraine captain, so fair enough. Thomas Partey is one of the leaders for Ghana, fair enough. Obviously Declan Rice is a starter for England, key player. Odegaard's captain of Norway, so yeah. Bukayo Saka is a shoe-in, guaranteed starter for England, key player. Jesus is kind of in and out of Brazil, and obviously Martinelli's just now kind of cemented himself in the Brazil squad. Obviously missed out the previous one due to injury, but yeah, maybe there's about 4 or 5 players there. A lot of them are captains as well, so I hear what he's saying, but then there's certain players that aren't even. People like Ben White and Ramsdale, for various reasons, don't really get as much football as they probably would like. Ben White's not even getting into the squad. But yeah, I hear that still. But obviously I feel like he's talking about Saka, Odegaard and Zinchenko mainly here, to be honest with you, yeah.
Helpful for the team.
Obviously, David Raya was picked over Ramsdale again tonight. Just what was the thinking behind that decision? Maybe not choosing to rotate the goalkeepers as you hinted you might do at the weekend.
It's the belief that I had in the team that I wanted to play with expected opponent, and not only that, the changes that we made with other players, it was for this very reason.
Matt from the Express.
Mikel, we all know how hard it is to compete in the Premier League and the Champions League, but is that sort of performance better preparation than a week at home.
Winning always helps, and when you see that dressing room, how happy they were today, the energy. If tomorrow I tell them to train, they will train for sure. And now we have 3 days to prepare a big game again, a really special game for us, and we'll try to do it in the best way.
And finally, we'll go to Tostig.
Mikel, we saw Kai Havertz come in different roles throughout the game. How pleased were you with his performance? And is he getting closer to the full confident player that
Yes, I
we know
think
he is and we know he can be?
he was very connected today in the game, and it's true that I asked him to play in 2 different roles in regards to the opponent's behaviors, and he's so intelligent the way he does it. He's just finishing 1 or 2 actions that we had again, but and he's coming and he's so willing to do it.
Okay, well, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Don't want to dwell too much on that. I just want to conclude on this PSV segment of this podcast. Just feel that if we can get to Wembley, considering our record there, I fancy us, and perhaps our style of play is better suited and more accustomed to playing against European sides who are more inclined to want to come at us and attack us, as PSV did, and probably won't do again anytime soon. But leaving spaces for the likes of Odegaard, Martinelli and Bukayo Saka to exploit, which they did. And also Trossard as well, who's currently injured. I feel like the fact that Saka's been so quiet this season has been because the opposition fullbacks and wingers have doubled up on him and given him absolutely no space to run in behind. They're holding hands effectively, which brings and leaves more of an emphasis on Ben White's overlapping runs, of which he's probably going to live and die by the quality of White's overlapping runs, as you saw on Sunday, which we're going to get into right now. Arsenal against Spurs. Let's talk about it. Boy, oh boy. Where do I start? And do you know the mad thing is as well? We drew against Spurs. We did not lose that game. Boy. All right, I'll start with this though. Okay, Tottenham are getting a lot of plaudits for their performance and their point, and probably they edged the game. But you got to look at it is it's another year you haven't beaten Arsenal away from home. That's once ever in the Premier League, which was a fortunate 3-2 victory in 2010 from a last-minute goal from Yunus Kabul. I remember that game like yesterday. They nicked it, they pinched it, we were winning 2-0, and they just threw caution to the wind and somehow won the game. But they won. Fair play. So I make that 12 years without beating Arsenal at the Emirates. Okay. But you want to wax lyrical? Fair enough. You're playing Liverpool on Sunday. Let's see how you get on with that. Right. But no, let's be real. It's a disappointing draw. For me, I watched the first half of that game and I couldn't believe how we didn't kill them off. Especially after the first 40 minutes, when Jesus and Nketiah were a bit profligate in front of goal. Should have. If we get 2-0 up, the game's over for me. And but Tottenham did grow in confidence. I felt like immediately after that Jesus chance was blazed over the bar, they kind of got it together and they started playing their football, which I have to give them credit for. Ange Postecoglou's done a great job. That Tottenham team is virtually a brand new team if you look at it. So those players who have bad PTSD at the Emirates, then there's not many of them. There's probably Son and Kulusevski, Romero, maybe, and a couple of players like that. But on the whole, there's 5, 6, 7 new players in there. A couple that were on loan last season or whatnot, or came halfway through the season, like Porro and Odugwe, who was He was actually bought by Tottenham last summer and was loaned back out to Udinese. He, incidentally, was getting skinned early in the game by Saka, and I've noticed a trend when we get fullbacks on the edge who get early yellow card, we don't really take advantage. I think I remember at Anfield a couple months ago, at the end of last season, Martinelli got Trent on a yellow early. He didn't really punish him, and similarly to that on Sunday, Odugwe was on a yellow card early on in the game. Saka was skinning him, and then he survived. He didn't get a red. Because you're thinking to yourself, yo, Saka's just going to go past him, Udoguay's going to foul him, and boom, he's going to get sent off. But that didn't happen. I don't know what happened. We were probably fortunate in the end to come away with a draw. It's frustrating though. It feels like a defeat for a few reasons, mainly because we've had so many home games, and we've been poor at home. We've been poor in general this season, with the exception of the PSV game. We've not played well, and I hope we're not sleepwalking into another average season, because the results have been masking the performances, and we've got to start improving now. Obviously, you know, we've had basically the start to the season. We've played about 2 or 3 more home games than away. We're playing all the top sides at home. We've played United at home, played Tottenham at home now. We've got City at home next week. So that's 3 in a row. So don't forget, the corresponding fixtures, they're all going to be away. So you feel me? So you need to be picking up with the pressure is to make home advantage count. I feel like that Fulham draw really, really, really put pressure. It puts pressure on all our results going forward, let's be real, because Man City they've been flawless this season. They won every single game. And I expect them to beat Wolves on Saturday afternoon. So, which means that this Bournemouth game is a must-win. Yeah, I just feel like losing to Man City now at this stage could prove a critical blow to our title chances as early as October. You know, I feel like the performance was a bit unprofessional. The attitude wasn't the best. You know, those misses from Nketiah and Jesus probably would have been gobbled up by people like Haaland and people like that. You know, Saka doing Maddison's dart celebration, and then moments later, Maddison turns him so easy and provides an assist for Son, I believe. And then obviously now when we managed to get ahead from the penalty early in the second half, the Jorginho virtually scores an own goal. He gives the ball away in a critical position. Maddison robs him and passes to Son, and it's an easy finish. That's moments after we get ourselves 2-1 ahead. And then we hang on towards the end. I don't know if we were tired, but Spurs played really well. They pressed us, and the midfield composition was completely wrong. Havertz, Jorginho, and was it Vieira? Or no, Havertz, Jorginho, and Odegaard. Yeah, just this Odegaard and the yellow card, bearing in mind, that wasn't the right balance. It's not the right blend. And in the end, we just had to get out there with a point and stay unbeaten, but just puts pressure on our games going forward now. Right. So let me play the Arteta post-match interview and see what he has to say. Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2.
Okay, we'll kick off with John Cross and Mira.
Well, we are very disappointed not to win the 3 points, that's for sure. Especially when you go twice in front in the game, you know, and you have the opportunity to win it, especially the moment that we conceded the goals. And we had control of the game, that we could have scored the 2-0 with the situation.
Goals, but because we didn't punish them, they grew in confidence and started playing their football, and they got the equaliser. Well, they had a chance through Brennan Johnson straight after, but then straight after that, they get the equaliser.
And then you concede the goal, and you have to bounce back. And we did. We scored the goal, and yeah, it's a shame that within a minute you concede the other one. And I think that affected the team emotionally quite a lot, and we lacked some composure on the ball to get more passes, to get set in the final third, and became a little bit of a transitional game that is a risky one to play against them. And then we pushed in the last 15-20, we pushed, but we lacked probably the quality in the final pass as well to get the most out of it and win the game.
How frustrating was it at 1-0 when you have clear chances?
Yeah.
And then I guess also you go 2-1 ahead, and again you don't have that time to come.
In big games, you have to put boxes are so important, and we had to put those chances away. We didn't, and as well when you have some errors like the one we have in both goals to concede, then it becomes difficult to win. But honestly, the effort, the energy that the boys put in, the attitude, it was phenomenal. But I think we lacked today certain composure on the ball, to be more dominant and to get set, to get the structure in the game that we needed against a really good Spurs side.
James from CBS.
Mikel, your pressing was so effective in the first half hour that it seemed to take her off. What do you put that down to?
Well, I think the second half we regained a lot of balls as well in high press. I think they came out twice, one with Maddison when they hooked the ball.
No. Second half we got overrun in that midfield. I mean, you'd probably predict that was going to happen. If you look at the midfielders and the kind of profile that Spurs' midfielders have, unless they get tired, people like Pape Matar in there, energy, good tackling, strength, power, presence. Similarly, all those things apply to Yves Bissouma. And then you've got James Maddison, who's a good presser as well. When you now compare it to who we had in our midfield in the second half, as opposed to what our first choice midfield should be, which is Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard, who presses really well, and another ball winner in Thomas Partey. But we didn't have them. We didn't have. You could say we didn't really have Odegaard because he wasn't playing how he usually does because of his yellow card. We had people like Jorginho, who's not the best presser, aging, getting on a bit, lost the ball. But he's usually press resistant, to be fair. But and then we also had Kai Havertz, who's lacking confidence. Some say he's a bit flimsy. You know what I'm saying? And who else did we have? We had Odegaard, who's, like I just mentioned already, is on a yellow card. So it was bound to happen that we'll get overrun in that midfield when you put those profile players out there. So, yeah, I mean, it's a game that we managed to escape without losing. So fair enough, because losing this game would have been, oh my days. Felt like we lost when we drew. Imagine if we lost. Mad, peak.
And we took that position and credit to them because they have the quality and they take the chances to do that. But apart from that, I don't think we conceded from set situations a lot. It's more it was the danger when we have simple giveaways and when we regain the ball and we didn't do enough with that ball that we regained in certain areas to allow them to spread out and run less.
Kyle from Footballer.
Declan came off
Yeah.
time. Was that due to an injury?
Yeah, he had some discomfort in his back, and he was telling us during the first half that he wasn't comfortable, and when we assessed him at halftime, he could not continue, so we had to change him.
Was it the same with Fabio? Did he come off with an injury as well?
No, Fabio wasn't injured. That was a tactical decision.
Okay, right. I heard whispers about Arteta saying the changes at halftime were tactical decisions. Okay, so cool. Declan Rice wasn't a tactical decision. Fair enough, because we needed him in that game. Yes, a back injury. Hopefully he is back for the Man City game. I don't mind if he misses the Bournemouth and Lens fixtures, but we need him back for that City game, definitely. As with regards to Vieira, when you say tactically, but then you bring in Havertz, I don't think that's the way to go. You probably want someone with endurance in there, especially given the way Tottenham play. So the fact that what's his name, Declan Rice and Partey wasn't in the midfield, mean we lacked a presence in there. So put in Havertz, not really sure. He was the player. Obviously, there's something going on with Smith Rowe because he was a player that I'll consider, but and then El Neni, I'm not really sure he's the guy for that. So yeah, there's issues in there. But it's frustrating. I can't lie, my head's all over the place. But anyway, let's play the rest of it.
How much of a test is this going to be over the next couple of weeks for the depth of the squad?
Well, it was already a test today because we missed 5 big players, but it's what we have, and as well trust.
No, ban all that, man. Listen, Chelsea are missing 12. Man City, they're missing De Bruyne, for heaven's sake. They're missing top players as well. Let's not use injuries as an excuse because we could have addressed this in the summer by buying more players, but we put ourselves in a situation where we're missing 1 or 2 players and we feel like we're in a crisis. And obviously the club wanted to do a kind of quality over quantity thing. They let Rob Holding go. They didn't get a replacement. So they're thinking, all right, certain man can play across the back four. People like Tomiyasu and Ben White can play 2 or 3 positions and whatnot, this kind of stuff. So we've gone for a quality and quantity thing. So we're gonna live and die by that decision. Only time will tell.
And give opportunities to the other ones. We have a game every 3 days, and that's the level that we have to show. So go for it.
Simon from Evening Standard.
Just on Spurs, from what you've seen today, do you feel like they're competing for the same prize as you two
I think they are really good side. They are really well coached. You can feel the spirit within the team. You can feel the energy within them. But I think it's 6 games.
The thing is, now, for Sunday's game, Tottenham against Liverpool, I'm starting to get worried about Liverpool. They're winning a few too many games comprehensively for my liking. I mean, yeah, I heard someone saying that you'll find out what Liverpool are on in the first 10 games of the season. And I've seen enough of them to know that they are on stuff this season. They have got firepower like you would not believe. And Mo Salah, for me, has got better. He's playing like a more withdrawn role. He's playing people in now. He's passing to people. He's laying it on a plate. I mean, bloody hell. And then he's just scoring when he feels like it. But Mo Salah's on top form, and I don't think Tottenham will be able to live with him. Not the way he's been playing. But if they do, then you got to start taking notice, serious notice, and standing up and thinking, oh, Tottenham, they're on something as well. I'm gonna go for a 3-2. I feel like anyway. We'll leave that for the Premier League show. That's the game of the week. Tottenham Liverpool. Premier League show will be out on Friday or Saturday. Don't know yet.
It's too early, I think, for everybody to discuss what we're going to be.
So just on Declan, is there any danger he's a threat to beating short and beating fair?
Hopefully not, but we have to assess him and see. It's strange that a player like him asked to come off because he wasn't comfortable, so hopefully not, but let's see. I don't know, I think we finished the game really strong. You know, we were very dominant. We played in the third, they could not get out. You don't have the ball, and when you get the ball back, you know, and we lack that composure to be much more dangerous because we could have been.
Okay, last two, not from the Sunday.
Just ask you about the error by Jorginho. What happened? It's almost inexplicable.
What happened is that I love him.